Before I start today's lesson, as usual, please keep your mics off and ask questions via chat. Simply because I have the megaphone and people who are watching my live stream or my video later cannot hear your question. For those people who watch my lesson via Twitch, please be aware I always have an edited version of each lesson on my YouTube channel. There you will all see my screen up and close so you can better follow my steps. The URL of the edit video is in this description of this video. If it's not, you are probably watching this live and I have not edited the video just yet. Before I start this lesson with today, I like to point out a better way to export FBX and OBJs. I explained in previous lesson I always work with FBX since OBJ gave me problems. Sorry. When I'm imported it into other programs like Substance Painter. And like I said before, I'm not an expert. Everything I am learning I have figured out myself or by the help of our nice community. And today's aha moment is brought to you by Olympus Mons. He showed me his settings, how he exported his OBJ, and that works just perfectly. So I'm going to explain you exactly what those settings are. As example here I have a t-shirt, and when I export it as OBJ, you can do it by selecting just what you want to export. And I'm going to call this test for now. Save. And now the important thing. Last week I already told you that the weld function has a bug, so we keep it on weld, single object, thin. And now the trick here is I always had the unified textured on. And that is that you do not have to do, because if you leave that off and then go to meters, and this is just the way you want it to, and click OK, then it works just fine. Now if I make it into Substance Painter and open it there, you will just have the t-shirt as it should be. Now if you are doing it like I previously did, you will have for every single piece of this t-shirt, you will have a material setting here, and that's not really wanted. So, but since Olympus Mons told me these settings, I was thinking to myself, wait, well, then that may be also true for the FBX, since now I told everybody every time to delete the avatar before you export it as FBX. However, if you do it the same way as we did with just one thing. Almost the same way, because what you have to do is we have the option to hide the avatar, and you have to do it then still the same way as the OBJ. It's not that it's now you can do it with the texture on. No, the texture still needs to be off. So if you hide the avatar, go to export, FBX, and call it test2. Again, on weld, thin, and keep this off, very important. Go to meters or auto scale, OK, and then again, new, select FBX, OK, discard the old project. There you got it. If you did it previously with the texture on, it would always take your avatar with you. So if you do it like this now and you keep the texture off with the settings, you will have like I have now, just only the fabrics, the materials will show which you want to show, and there's no avatar involved. So that was for a correction from my side, and thanks to Olympus Mom to correct me on that. So for today's lesson I will, let's see. So again, if you see me explaining things that can be done faster or better, do not hesitate to contact me. Together we can make these lessons perfect for all of us. So let's start. Today I will explain you how to create tops, bikinis and bras. Designs like that are not easy to make. The fabric around the breast needs to be right, and the thin shoulder straps can also be hard to keep their shape and not stretch out. So today I will show you a technique that will work always. And if I got any time left, I will tell you the hard way. So let's start. First, let's start with a new project. I had my avatar hidden, not this one. I don't think we're going to add a bra or a bikini to a male, so let's import my favorite avatar to work on. That is because I have many more avatars I like. Alina. Bikinis for all. Now, to work with the trick I'm going to show you. It's best to start drawing on your avatar. As I showed people the last time, I usually start with drawing on the avatar. It has very much advantages if you do so. So we start drawing again. And what I am doing is actually I'm trying to make sort of a catsuit to begin with. You can use your shift button in your control button to make curved or straight lines, depending on what you want, of course. Since it's hard to get between the legs and under the arms, I always use my X-ray tool just to lift it a little. This and here as well. Yes, you can also make hair with this Leandra, but that's not easy. And there is somebody, if she is still here, Tina, who also made some. The trick to make hair with Marvelous Designer is to use pins to keep it in place. So it can be done, yes. Let's turn off so I can see better. Let's try that again. Double click to enter line and think like a real pattern. It needs to have the cuts on the same places as a real pattern. Else it will not work. So there. Now we need a line here. Oop, didn't finish it right. And it doesn't have to be perfect in the beginning. It's not about that. You can all edit that later. So now I got the drawings. No, I forgot one line. Up on the shoulder. You need there a line too, else it will not work. Let's see if I did it right. Yes, they both become blue. That's very important. Sometimes it will not work and you have to start over again. But the advantage of that is that you learn it very quick to do. I'm clicking the avatar, so I get the menu and say reset joints. Take the flatten tool, click them both at the same time. And then I click enter. And I wait for the pattern to... Oh, I see a problem, yeah. As you can see, the feet here, there is a line that is not fully closed, and that's the problem. Let's see if I can still save that one. I'm going to edit line, to try two things, and that's not going to work, so I'm going to remove this one, but it's going to remove the whole thing. Doesn't matter, I already have one side, so I'm just going to try if I can save this one. And let's see if it's going to work now. Enter. Yes, it does. Now they're not sewn together because I did them separately. Normally if you click them both at the same time and then click enter, they are already sewn together. So that's not the that's not the case right now, but that's not a real problem. So we're just going to, I'm going to clean up a few things real quick. I'm going to convert this to a dark and then delete. Yes. Yeah, that can be done later. First I'm going to sew them together. This one to this one, and this, and to this. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm going to go to my avatar. Then I'm going to use symmetric pattern with sewing. Place it, click on it, so I get the gizmo, and if the gizmo is not big enough, I'm going to make it a bit bigger. Going to sew all the parts together. I said sew, yes, thank you. And I'm going to simulate it. I forgot the upper parts, but that's not a problem. Control C a few times. Yes, I forgot it. That's it. But now I need to pull here a little bit. So you got almost a catsuit. No sleeves, but you get the gesture. Now the second thing I'm going to do is, first I'm going to make things a little bit better, because I like to see nice curves, etc. Because yeah, that's just the way I work, I guess. It isn't not really necessary, particularly not for this design I'm doing, because we're going to, a lot of things are going to vanish later. So, but yeah, I'm just a little bit of a perfectionist, I guess. I'm going to straighten some things out. I'm going to say rotate x-axis, so there's here as well. Okay. So now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take another fabric, and I do that because for the next step it will be easier if things are as flat as possible. So I'm going to take trim full grain leather, and I'm going to simulate it again. Okay. As you can see, things are way, way, way smoother. Now, why do I want that? Please turn off your mic, thank you.
Daisy, actually, I'm being told that your Twitch stream isn't facing the screen, they're looking at the audience.
Yeah, oh, right, damn it.
Sorry, that's all.
Yeah, damn. But it's okay, the screen later will be showing my other work. One moment.
Okay, sorry to interrupt.
No, it's good that you tell me. It's very good that you tell me. Yes, I fixed that one. But later on, I will combine the both, and then you will see only the screen on the moments that the screen is absolutely necessary. Okay, going to, yeah. Next thing, what I'm going to make. Like I said, I'm going to show you bikini tops, etc. So I'm going to take a reference picture, and I'm going to add it as a background for this, because it makes easier for me to work with that. Let me find it. Yes, this one. Going to say the opacity 200 so I can see it better, and I turn off my grid for this, so that because if you have your grid on, you can do it by grid properties, and then you would see it much harder. So at this moment I have my grid properties off, and this is what I want to achieve for this lessons and the pens as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my fountain pen to draw this pattern here on this catsuit. To make it a little bit easier for me, I'm going to go to the Transparent surface, and I'm going to remove my previous drawing on the body, so it will not make it harder for me to see the other lines. I just have to click one, then I'm going to click Control Alt, so you get all the lines, and say delete. They're gone. Bam. Now going back to the fountain pen, then I have to go back to Transparence. That's normal, it keeps flipping back, so you have to do that sometimes. So I'm going to draw, and I'm going to try to first to follow the curve of the breast of the avatar, and when the line needs to end, I'm going to double click it, just like you draw on the avatar. It's practically the same, but this time you're drawing it on the fabric. And as you watch here now, you see the line coming on the avatar, on the fabric, on the pattern. It's still not a line, it's just to show you where the line can be. Now there are two ways to do this. You can actually go here to the internal polygon line and try to draw over it yourself. But why should you do that? Well, you can do it on another way. You're just going to go to Edit Line, click one line, click A if you want, Control A if you want to select them all. And then you can say either trace as internal shape, but that will leave the line you drawn on the pattern, or you can convert to internal shape, and then it will remove the line and will make it a line immediately, and a polygon line immediately in the pattern. And for both sides, because we made it symmetrical from the start. So we're going to draw some more lines to get that design I have on the picture. Let's continue. I'm going to use, just like with drawing on a body, the shift key or the control key, whatever I need to have it. The control key is for curve, the shift key is for straight lines. At this moment I like to click in my shift key so I can see the straight line, and then I have just click now and then to get the point across, literally. Ooh. Delete if you made an error, and the last point will just vanish at that moment if you just say delete. And let's try that again. Yes. And then go again to edit line, Control A to select all, and convert to internal line. I usually correct my errors right away, so it's not a real error, but I don't want to have unnecessary dots. Convert to curve point, and for the back side as well, convert to curve point. So that's one thing. Now we're going to draw this part. I'm starting here, and I think it should be around here. Then I'm zooming in just because I want a specific 50 centimeters here, and I'm going to place a dot here and double click. Same procedure. Convert to internal shape. And as you can see, little by little, we are getting the pattern on the body. Now, straps. And I'm going to draw the first one. The second I will not, for specific reasons I will explain in a few minutes. First I start here. However, no, I'm going back. I'm going back to the drawing line, yes, because then I can see the dots better to draw on. I'm going to click on this dot, and then I'm going to bring it up to where I want it, approximately. Double click and see if that is the result I want. I have to regularly click simulate, because if you work on the fabric it will always start poking through. That look right. That's, yeah, I'm satisfied with that. Now I'm going to convert them to polygon lines. Again, click Control A. Again, Control A, and convert to internal shape. Now I'm missing here one of the lines for the straps, but if I draw it, it will probably not have the same, it has to be 50 centimeters the width, and I'm probably not that steady in doing that, but I can use Marvelous Designer for that. First of all, I see I'm not getting to the end of it, so I'm first going to click it and to say extend trim to pattern outline, and it will go to the end, but it has another disadvantages. It will also do this. There are two ways I can do that. Either I can say add point to intersection, and that will point to the point here, and then I can say divide internal line and remove it. Or I could have done it easier, and that's just going back and take the point and pull it till the end. So two possibilities. Sometimes you have to use the other one, and sometimes this one, depending on what you're doing. In this instance, it doesn't matter really. So I'm selecting the line now, and I'm going to offset as internal line. I'm doing this on purpose so that I'm sure that it's a straight line I'm going to get. And I'm going to say 50 centimeters. Okay. Now, as you can see, there's also a little problem here, so I'm going to help it a little. Yes. And there we have a lot of our pattern already, although I am not fully satisfied, but that's normal. What I don't like is I'm going to remove those a little bit, and I'm going to little to the side. A lot of things is trial and error, and that's the only way, it's the best way to learn, I think. And I'm going to put it there. And I see also this is not 50, so I'm going to change the length because I want it exactly to be 50. Then I'm going to add these two again. And I think that's much better. Now I'm going to have to adjust these two. Now I need to do the same on the back, and to help me along, and it's also better to do it like that, is to add a, I need to add a point here. Now there's two ways I can do it. I can shove this a little bit down and just eyeball it and say split, but I want it to be exact, so I'm going to use that method I showed you earlier. So I'm going to say almost the same, extend trim to pattern outline, but I'm going to extend trim and add a point to pattern outline. So now it will add a point here, and when I pull this down, you will see a point. There it is. It helps me to create the other line on the back side, but now I have to first clean up this mess. Add a point to an intersection, and then I'm going to divide internal line and remove, and I'm going to remove this one too, and now I have a point here, and I can say convert to curve point. Now I know this side is 135, so I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to split the line there, so I know my strap has to begin there. I'm going to take a polygon line this time, and I'm just going to make a straight line at first, just to see how it looks like. Then I'm going to give it a curve, so it looks like it should, like it's one. Yeah, maybe here a little to the outside. Yeah, close enough. Okay, now we're going to back to the offset as internal line, again 50 centimeter. No, need 50, no, 0.50, comma 50. Alright. Now, we're almost to the point that I can show you the trick that I wanted to show you. That's the easy way, and that's always will work way. First I'm going to draw another line for the pants for later on, because I'm going to add the pants as well. The pen, the fountain pen again. Let's start here. line, convert to internal shape, and remove the dots that are not needed. Convert to curve points, this one as well. Now the fun part. I am going to cut and sew a few lines, like this one, cut and sew. I'm doing that as here as well. Now you can see that it will not work always cut and sew here. So here I can because there are two lines, yes. And since it's symmetrical, it will automatically do the same on the other side, but then we are going to run in a few problems because we got multiple lines and there are officially not one shape. So if you try to, let's say you want to cut this out, you will see that this line will keep walking, so it will not work. But that we can fix. How are we going to do that? First of all, we need to have a point here in this line, and we need to add the point to this line so that it will become one line virtually. It becomes one shape. So first thing we're going to do, I am going to try to take this point, if it will let me. It's just a little bit annoying at this moment. Come here. No, other way. Okay, then I will do it like this. Yeah. As you can see, now you can click this line and say, when you click left, right, you can say add point to intersection. Now I've done that, and now you can see it's actually became two lines. And this is going to, no. I wanted to click the line, one moment. Yeah. I can bring it back as also a possibility, but I am going to divide the internal line, and I'm going to hold this one down so it's not interfering with the other one. I drag my mouse so both points are selected, and then I say merge to point or join overlapping point. It's in this case it's the same, and then I can bring this one back. I see there is a little error here, probably because I pulled on it. So we're going to correct that first. This one there, and this one was. And now we're going to try again. Cut the seal. So, see, now it works. And for that side too. Simulate it, because things are poking through again. And we're going to see if we can do the same for the back side. And here we have the same problems. And I see this one is already overlapping, so that's a plus. Because I can click the line then and say add a point to intersection. And you see he did that for both those parts. Now I can work this one way up. And then I'm going to select both the lines, cut and sew. And I'm going to do the same for the other side. Cut and sew. Now, if you make a texture for Sansar, you can use transparent. And this comes in handy because if you are not really good at making things like this, you can do it like I showed you now, and you can make sure the parts I'm clicking now are actually without a texture. So those things can be alpha or transparent. And then you can easily make things like this without any fuss. They will always sit as they should, never have any problems. The straps are always nice and will not do any weird things. So this is an easy way for beginners to make things that you normally have major problems with. And if you look, I'm going to get in deeper to it because we still need this. I'm going to get a polygon line for this one. First I'm going to cut the straps. Cut, so. Oops. Back side as well. Cut and so. And this as well. Cut. Okay. There is one line that it does not go to the outside. This one. That's the problem. So you have to make sure all lines. Yeah. I think it's going to work now. Try again. Cut and so. Yes. Try to keep things a little bit organized. I advise you to do the same for your UV texture. Those pens we are going to use a little bit later. So, and these alphas, because if you're going to keep them as alphas, it doesn't matter what you do with them. You can throw them on each other. They are not that important because that's going to be completely alpha. So you can just keep them in one big pile. Absolutely not important. Like I said, I'm going to have this line in the middle here. So I'm going to get my polygon line. Something like this. Yes. So again, I'm going to say cut and sew. Yeah, pretty happy with that for now. Sometimes you will see things like this. Let me check my. Sometimes it will do that because not everything is sewn on the right way, but I don't see. No, it looks good. Okay. So now I can just to see how things work at the same kind of texture, the this one another material. Okay. Going to, usually don't do my textures in Marvelous Designer, but I do give it a start to see how things work, and usually start with some seamless texture, sort of less like the design I wanted to use in the first place. So now I'm going to, let me see, the angle, yes, angle, I'm going to rotate it. There are a few problems here. I mean, you look at it, this needs to be together, so I'm going to change. First I'm going to make it straight, delete all curve points. Then I'm going to choose rotate the y-axis. If I don't do that, I will show you what you would normally get, because I'm going to merge them together, and if I do that, they're all crooked. I like to keep my things straight, so what I do is select it, go to y-axis, click on the line that needs to be straightened out, and then I'm going to click the line again and say merge. And since it's a symmetrical pattern, it knows to which side it should merge. So that's one. Going to do the same with the back. First I'm going to select it again, use the y-axis, click on the side, then I'm going to merge them as well. Now you see that's a little bit like a triangle form, but we will later correct that. For now it's good enough. Now I want to have the texture a little bit more like I have in this picture. So I'm going to select edit texture, and I'm going to select one of those pieces, and then I'm going to use the handles to rotate the texture the way I see it in my picture. And I can even bring it up or down. I can do it in the other 2D viewing port as well, but I like to work on this because it's the actual model and it makes it easier for me. This I would probably leave black at the end, but for now looks pretty decent. Okay. Well, this looks pretty decent, and this is how the way you can actually load it up. It's not a problem that you have any alpha textures in it. You just have to make sure you use the right filter, shader. You need to use the shader that has alpha and double-sided if you want to. It doesn't have to because it's pretty close to the skin, but if you look like this and you look from above, you would, if you have one-sided, you wouldn't see the fabric on the inside. So that's up to you. But what is done then? What will happen if I now remove the alpha? I'm going to show you that as well. First of all, that's going to is a problem. Sometimes when you have really thin straps, things like that will happen. So I'm going to fix that first. I hope it will let me do it, because sometimes, yeah, sometimes it's confused. It still sees sewing lines that are actually not there. So let's try that again. Annoying. What's going on? And it shouldn't act this way because it's symmetrical. So actually it should do exactly the same as the other side, and still it's not doing that. Let's see. I'm going to to do it gradually then, to see if I can fool it. But I see here already it's not sewing together somehow. So that's the problem, but it does see a line here. So what I can try is, let's see if the other side is gone now too. No, yes. Still so gone. What I can try is try it from the other side. Let's try that again. First check. No, I don't see any lines here, so let's try that again. Okay. It's throwing me for a loop now, because normally I would probably start half over half again, because somehow it's not doing what it's supposed to do. But I'm going to try something else first to see if I can still save it. Sometimes you have those little bugs and they are truly bugging you. Okay. Complete crash. Okay, let's start that again. I do have a backup file, so no problem. It's crashing so hard that it even don't want to quit. Okay. Task manager. Let's help with a hand and task. Especially when you work with really small small straps, it can give you a headache. It's not the first time those things happen to me with small straps. You have to be persistent if you want to work with Marvelous Designer. It can crash quite a lot, and if you have a computer that doesn't have enough gigabytes in RAM, it crashes even more often. Now I can do, usually it has an auto file and I can try it, but I am, oh, completely crashes again. So no, he does not like that file anymore. Good advertisement for Marvelous Designer today. Luckily I made a persistence, yeah, backup file. I'm a little more advanced in that file further on in this lesson, but I think you will get what I mean. No, don't give me that auto file. We know by now that's not a happy one. Backup. Okay. That's not the backup I meant. the other one. This one. My previous laptop who has had a little less RAM. It crashed constantly when I made difficult things. So here I still have the same what I was trying to design. However, here I already removed the alpha, and I had to do quite a few things to make it stick like this. Oh no, you got to be kidding me. It's working. Trying again. Yay. There we go. But I'm going to show you, going to backward engineer it so you can see what I mean if you do not do the things I did to it. Because if I have this as if I would have this as normal fabric, I'm going to go remove everything I did to it first to show you what I meant. Here I have seaming tape here as well. So I turn that off. Also here. I'm going to select the lines as better. This one, this one, this one, and this one. I have seaming tape. And I have seaming tape on this thing as well. Oh, that's the wrong one I turned off. No, elastic. Yes, okay. Seaming tape. Here you are. Seaming tape. And then I also had elastic on this part and elastic on this part. And this one too. Off. I'm almost there where I need to be. And this needs to be to this. Okay. Okay. Here we are at the point my previous have given problems and headache. But if I simulate it now, this is what happens if you do not add the seaming tape and the elastic and also another fabric, because I am actually using two kinds of fabrics to get the shape I want to. I'm going to get one step back. So what I'm going to do to keep it like you see it now, the first thing I'm going to do is I have copied my fabric into another one, and I gave this one, and I called it leather because I made it trim full grain leather. I'm going to this part, and the straps are going to be all leather to give it more stiffness. That's the first thing I have to do. The second thing I have to do is to give it seaming tape, and seaming tape all around to start with. So that's this part. And you see it because it turns orange. I do the same on the back side. I do the same on the sides of this part and on the lower part, seaming tape. All just a standard default 10 millimeters. I do the same for the straps. And usually in between I try to simulate them to see what happens. Now you see it's still, oh great, another strap breaks loose. My God. Can I call this a bug? I believe I can call this a bug, right? Let's try if we can fix it again. Fingers crossed. Yay, it works. But you saw it was still too loose, right? So now I'm going to use some elastic. An elastic on a few places. On the side, here. And normally it says 10 in the strength, but you have to find the best way for your design. And I found out with this one, it was 5. And since it's symmetrical, it also did it on this side. Then I'm going to choose the straps. And click elastic as well. And this is, I believed I kept at 10. And no, wait. That's not true. Control C. Oh, yeah, if I'm pushing a wrong button, it doesn't go back. I believe I just did the sides. Try that again. No, it's 10. It's absolutely 10. And I'm going to do the same for the straps on the back. And there I had it made to 2. You can change this or you can change the ratio. It just depends on what you are trying to achieve. Now, since those straps are so incredibly small, I usually use some pins, create pins for the beginning. I am removing them later when I get them into Sansar, but for now, one back. It's an easy way to help you get those pins, get those straps in place. Yeah. And as you can see, going to remove the backgrounds. No, the grid property so you can see it better. But as you can see, it's pretty close to what I was trying to achieve. And this is the hard way actually, so you can do it the easy way and keep the alpha textures there and load it up with alpha. Or you can do it the hard way like I did now. And you have to figure out sometimes which settings are best to keep the shape of your bra or bikini or whatever you are trying to make. And one other thing before the lesson is almost over, but as you saw, I have already sewn the pants as well. And I want to show you one thing because it might come in handy for some of your designs, is the way things are sewn together. As you can see, I'm going to the way it was as default. This is actually default when things are just sewing together, like from the one side to the other. It's hard to explain because you cannot see my hands, else I could have shown you the way. But you can see if you look closely, now they just look like they're fully straight, but when I just click the lines and say turned, and I say go, now you see an edge. Because they are now the edge sewn on a different way together. So is for this design is what I would do. So in some designs you might use that edge function, turned or custom angle, like for instance for your jeans or something. So that's a good way to know that you can change that. You can also change the intensity, and then you can see it even better when I now Control Z, and you shall see that it will become less. See, now it's less, and one back, and then the edge will disappear. See? This closing is, yes, this is created on Alina native, but this will fit on all other avatars if they are human normally, because Marvelous has a specific simulation property in Sansar, which is pretty unique. If you want to make the straps shorter, you can do that on several ways. Lux, you can. Oh, it broke again! Yay! You can just take this one, and you can do it by just make it really shorter, or you can try to give it a little more strength on elastic. And you can try also using shrinkage wrap. If you say you're going to do 80 or something, it will also make it less long. Those are 3 ways you can do it. Any more questions? It's not a real question. Okay, guys.
Such a question.
That's about it for this week's lesson. If you don't have any more questions, I'm going to leave it at this.
Can we give Daisy a big round of applause? This is amazing. Yay! I can't clap with my mic, but hey, there we go.
I hope you learned something today. I would thank you all for joining my lesson. You can follow me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube for more information on my lesson. I will paste the URLs in the open chat, and my lessons are free. So if you appreciate my work and knowledge I share in my lessons, you can tip me by buying something from my store. Thank you, everybody.